So here's a way to get more. In fact, I use it to get more of everything. It doesn't matter whether it's in my social life, in my personal life, but most certainly in my business life. And this is how it works. Some years ago, I was sitting in a cafe cum bar in Spain, and I was having a glass of water. I think it was towards midday-ish, perhaps late midday in the way that food is served in Spain, starting lunch at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Anyway, I was sitting there having this glass of water. I was with my wife Sharon. I think she was having a glass of wine because I was driving. And the waiter came around and offered us a plate. And on the plate, there were some sausages, bits of sausage on bread, and they were held with a stick like this, a cocktail stick, poked through it to keep it together. And this is called a pinchos. And of course, you could get the pinchos either from the counter. There was both hot pinchos and cold pinchos, and the various plates that the waiters kept on bringing round. And this works on an honour system, because basically, when you finished eating, you'd end up with, let's see if I can spill these all over the place, you'd end up with a load of sticks, a load of pinchos. And the waiter would come around at the end when you call for the bill, like I went to por favor, and he would come around and he'd count up and he'd go, this many, and it was X euros per pinchos. I also noticed, in fact, that there was a different size of pinchos where the stick was a bit thicker. It got sort of circles around the top. And that was for the more expensive pinchos, which were perhaps a bit more food on that particular piece of bread. And of course, the whole of this works on an honour system, doesn't it? It's, people would obviously, or could obviously, not would, could, throw away some of these sticks or get rid of them or break them or hide them in their pockets. But it works on an honour system that you've eaten it, so you've got to pay for it. And this reminds me of another occasion, actually, and I'll come to the point of how you use this expression that I've got in my mind for you today in order to get more of everything, everywhere. And I remember going to a restaurant down in Dartmouth in England on the River Dart. And it was a really nice restaurant, and Sharon and I went with some friends and business colleagues as well, but they were mostly friends. We'd become very good friends over life. And we had this wonderful meal, and I think it was either my turn to pay or I was paying. And I called for the bill, and when the bill came, we checked it, as one does, of course, because I've had occasions when the bill wasn't right. And I offered my credit card to the waiter, might have been the maitre d', actually, and offered my credit card. And he said to me, we don't take credit cards. I said, oh, okay, not to worry. What do you take? He said, we'll take cheque or cash. And as it happened, I'd got enough cash with me, and so I paid the bill. And I was just interested in the process and the style of the restaurant, which was a really great restaurant. And I had a chat to the guy when we were up and about to leave. And I said to him, look, I'm really interested in this process of not taking credit cards. What happens if somebody turns around to you and says, well, I haven't got enough cash and I haven't got my checkbook with me? What do you do then? And he said, oh, it's very simple, sir. We send the bill. I said, oh, you send the bill? I said, do you ever get an occasion, this is back to the honour system, do you ever get an occasion when people don't pay the bill? And he turned around to me, smiled, slight smile on his face, and he said, not at the Carved Angel, sir, which was the name of the restaurant. In fact, I think I forgot to put my name up, so I'll put that up while I'm just doing this at the same time as well. So not at the Carved Angel. So coming back to what was happening in the Pinchos restaurant, and it was as simple as this. When the waiter or waiters brought the plates round with the various pinchos, the sticks poked between the sausage and the bread or whatever it was, they would say, would you like one? Or they would say, would you like to try one? And I noticed that there was this different questioning going on. And I know that's what makes the difference. And this brings me to this particular expression that I want to share with you today. And it's based on an old expression. The old expression is, if you don't ask, you don't get. However, my version of it is this. If you don't ask, they can't say yes. If you don't ask, they can't say yes. So it's really important to ask. And this obviously occurs in lots of places. It occurs when we're selling or allowing people to buy from us. It occurs when we're dealing with people in our social and personal life. It deals in shops and all the rest of it. When it comes to asking for discount. If you don't ask, they can't say yes. Now, I know if I owned a Pinchos restaurant, I would be crafting a series of questions for the waiters and wait staff to be asking the diners if they wanted to try one. You know, would you like to try one? Would you like one? Would you like to try this one or this one? Maybe an alternative. I would certainly be doing that test. And I'll tell you why I would do that test. Firstly, as you and I know, you have to test everything in selling and marketing and business. And secondly, the late, great Ted Nicholas told me in a one-to-one conversation with him about when he first started in business, and he had a business called Peterson's House of Fudge. That was the business that he had. It sold fudge, obviously. And it was a retail shop. And outside he had an A board with words on this side and words on this side, which passers-by would see, and those words would stop them and get them to come in the shop, or maybe if you got it wrong, it would stop them and get them to run away from the shop. And what Ted said to me was that he learned his early marketing by changing the words on the A board. And he found out that certain words would bring more footfall and more sales, and certain words wouldn't. And of course, he measured. So this is really back to this same key idea is, if you don't ask, they can't say yes. So I think there's two takeaways today. Firstly, it's if you don't ask, they can't say yes. And secondly is, unless we test those words that we're asking with, then we're never quite sure which version will produce a better and higher result. So takeaways, keep asking, because then they can say yes, and keep testing the different words that you use, because that will certainly make a difference. So from me, Peter Thompson, until the next time, I wish you all adventures, success in your adventures in life. Have fun with them as well. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye for now.